Waterwight, Book 1, Chapter 7. By the time the sun reached its zenith in the crystal clear sky, Celeste reached the peak above Old Man Massive. With each tentative step, a sense of urgency to see what lay beyond grew in her. If it was truly her destiny to do something special, she wanted to discover it soon and make some sense of her new life. She pulled herself to the top of the last uphill boulder and walked across, expecting to see the big water in the distance. Yikes! She screamed, gasping and staggering backward from the edge of a precipice. She couldn't even see the ground below. Beyond the cliff's edge, the two doves circled and played, and far beyond and below, she glimpsed a forest shrouded in mist. Hoping she'd made a mistake and could follow the ridgeline down to the other side, she pulled out the old compass and turned it until the red arrow pointed north, the direction from which she came. She looked to her right and to her left and saw the ridgeline extended in each direction, east and west, as far as she could see. And she had to go south. "Where's my easier way down now?" she shouted to the wind, remembering the strange message from her last dream at the children's home. Who was sending her these vague messages? She didn't have a clue. She looked to the doves, hoping they might talk to her, believing they might lead her to safety. Instead, they bolted straight down the cliffside and disappeared from sight. "Thanks a lot," she mumbled, creeping back to the edge. In her nightmares at the home, she had made the leap before and lived. She had defied gravity again and again when she ran with the dogs across the open fields and up the mountainside. Yet this precipice frightened her. What if things were different on the other side of the mountain? What if her new powers only worked on this side? What if she were still dreaming, waiting for the wake-up clang of the dawn bell along with all the gloomy girls at the home? "If I'm still dreaming, then this won't matter, will it?" she hollered over the edge, feeling more awake now than ever. Tightening the silk scarf around her hair, she took several steps back. She clenched her eyes, closed, and held her breath for only a moment before sprinting to the edge. There would be no turning back. Her final footfall launched her away from safety and into the spacious void. Celeste screamed the moment she lost control. Her stomach lurched upward. "I'm dead," she thought, but then caught sight of the two birds below her continuing their downward flight. They matched her shriek with their own, and Celeste believed, she had to believe, that as long as she could see them, she would be all right. With all her might, she focused on the birds, their descent fast and arrow straight, and soon she could almost touch their tails. "Help me," she pleaded with them, and just then the bird's flight changed direction into a gentle arc perpendicular to the looming valley floor. "Focus, focus," she told herself with eyes wide open, staring at the doves and believing if she lost sight of them, she would either die or wake up screaming. Her arc followed theirs, and when the birds found a branch to perch upon, Celeste landed easily at the base of a tree. The ground below her feet, saturated with shimmery pink water, squished, and a tingle ran up her spine. "You could have told me I'd be all right," she chastised the birds, her legs shaking and voice quavering. They simply looked at her and cocked their heads. "Aren't you going to say anything?" She wondered why they hadn't yet spoken to her. Everything else had talked to her, and the doves were clearly not out to hurt her. but they didn't speak. Celeste looked around. For as far as she could see, the valley floor glimmered with moisture. Here and there, puffs of foul-smelling steam escaped. She looked up and couldn't see the top of the mountain from which she had just jumped. She pulled out her compass and, with her back to the mountain, looked south toward the misty forest miles away. Ranger had said her journey would be long, but other than the serious jitters she had just experienced, she didn't really feel tired. With each unexplainable physical feat she managed to survive, her energy level grew. "Hey, knock it off!" She waved the birds away from her head. They had flown from their perch and were creating a commotion about her. They flew out of reach and, with their eyes focused to the west, repeated an alarming "Roo-oo!" Celeste followed their gaze and understood the reason for their protest. It was very far away, but she could tell by its bat-like flight it was seeking her. The bird Old Man Massive had tumbled a stone onto and frightened away. A black vulture was the shifter. It would close the distance between them soon. The doves returned their gaze to Celeste and, with a final warning cry, turned toward the forest and flew away. Without even thinking about her situation or what she should do, Celeste was in flight behind them as if by instinct. Moments later, it was she leading them into the dense, wet forest. Effortlessly dodging branches as she flew deeper and deeper into the mist, she spotted a monstrous tree, and there, amidst its heavy branches, she settled. The doves rested on either side of her. Below her, the forest floor released a steamy odor of rotten vegetation, and Celeste remembered a line the cats had written in their poem. Without even realizing it, she had followed her nose. She couldn't stay there long. Unable to see well in the swirling, smelly steam, she strained her ears to determine the success of her escape. The doves, too, were peacefully peering about the strange surroundings. They all remained motionless when the sound of a raspy hiss penetrated the silence below them. It was near. She looked at her gentle friends and trusted they would not give away her hiding place. "Please, oh, please, oh, please go away," she whispered, and the doves snuggled in closer to her. After what seemed like an eternity, the demon creature moved along, unable to find its prey in the murky growth. When she could no longer hear its hiss, Celeste checked her compass once more. Without a word, she leapt from the enormous tree and worked her way south, silently and slowly sliding through the treetops, not knowing how far in or how much farther she would have to fly. When she feared she would be lost within the depressing darkness forever, she saw a growing lightness in the atmosphere ahead, and her companions briskly took the lead once more. Cautiously, she made her way through the last stand of waterlogged trees and lit upon a branch on the perimeter of the wasting timberland. Below her, and for as far as she could see, lay the big water. "Holy moly," she whispered. That ends Chapter 7 of Waterwight, Book 1.